Hello. In this video, we will see how to use Angular material data tables. So let's begin. So first of all, we will open the Angular material website and let's open the documentation page for the data tables. So here are the data tables. So before starting work on this, you should have Angular material and Angular project and Angular material already installed in your computer and working perfectly. At this time, Angular project is working fine in my computer already, and Angular material is also installed. So we will just run this server, and meanwhile we can add other dependencies. Okay, our server has been started. Now you can see that our Angular application and Angular material is already functional. I'm going to remove everything from this app component.html file, and I also imported some Angular material modules. I'm going to remove them because I don't need them at this time. Okay, now we need to start using when now we need to be able to use this data table. For that, you have to click on the API, and here you can see what you need to import. I am going to just copy it and paste it here. Now we need to import this module, mat table module, and once this is imported, you can freely use this. So here you can see the example that about Angular material data table. We just we can just copy it and paste it there. Okay, and now we also need to add these data. So first of all, you need this code inside your class. I'm going to remove this code and see. Now we have two properties. One is displayed column and second data source. So this property will tell data table that which fields we want to show, we want to display in the UI. And this property data source will take all of the data that we want to load into the data table. So we need to define this variable. I'm going to copy it from their website so that we don't have to write it by ourselves. Okay, so I have created a variable element data and I have added the data inside of this data table in this array. And now we have to use this displayed columns property in the HTML. Let's see how it is using. So you can see that in this HTML structure in the mat header row, you have to add that displayed column in this way. So next, let's look at the data source. So this data source property is being used in this table tag. In this table tag, you have to pass the data source like this. So it does not matter whatever name you set. You can set any name like here, but this word should say data source. It should not change. So once you have added the data source there, then and save this data in this file, then you will start to see data table functional. Look at this, data table is working perfectly fine, but its width is not looking good. Let me fix its width. For that, I am going to uh, go to the SAS file, and here I am going to add a style table width 100%. Okay, now its width is 100% wide. Now I will show you that how to add or remove some columns. For example, at this time you can see these columns are visible. One, two, three, four columns are visible. And if you want to hide one column, you just want instead of removing column from data, you just remove the column from the displayed columns property, and it would hide that column from your UI. And if you want to add any more column, or maybe you want to remove all of the column but to keep just one, then you can see this is how it looks. And if you want to add more, you can do that by adding something like a color. But with this, your data must have that property in their objects. And you also have to update the interface if you are using interface. So now we have said that we want to display color property, but in HTML we did not specify the position to show the color like other columns. We have to add another column to show the data related to the color. So you have to type the name of the column that you have specified in the displayed columns variable or array. You can see that now color column is also visible. So you can see different data is also coming. So now your data table is functional. You can use it in your projects very easily. There are many more options. You can come. I recommend you to come here on this documentation, read other possible options or documentation if you want to learn more in depth about the data tables. For example, here you can see overview in the API, you can see more details, and in example, you can see multiple examples that you can try out. You can add column, you can remove columns. So these are all of the extra detail that you can learn if you want from this website. But I just wanted to show you how to easily set up data table to use. So you can easily use it now. You have the variable. You can use it anytime. So also you can load this data from the HTTP request as well. You just have to feed this variable with the data whenever you want to load. Uh, and next, you can also see that this example is also using the pagination. I can show you how to add the pagination as well. So let's see how to add pagination. So I'm going to their HTML file and going to see they just have added this property, this tag component element here. I am also doing the same. It should be outside of the table tag, so I'm putting it here. Also, it is using the result length that is a variable coming from a TS file. For now, I'm just going to hard code this variable. It is not working because we did not import the module for the paginator. So I'm going to import the module for paginator. Okay, you can see that paginator is now showing and it is functional. So it is working perfectly fine. You can also use the dynamic uh, value as well here if you want. For example, your actual data is here, this data source. You can just use this variable and you can use its length. So now it is very dynamic. At this time, this paginator is not connected with the data table. So let's try to connect it with our data table and see how it works. So, so I'm trying to find a basic example of the paginator that is connected with the data table because the existing example is very complex. I can use it, but I want to show you a simplified version of this implementation because it is using a lot of things like it is also using the sorting module. It is also using the paginator. It is also using the HTTP method to load data from the server. Mm, Actually it is very easy to implement pagination. So paginator is already you can see visible. Now you have to implement your own logic, whatever you prefer, to make it look like a functional pagination. So I can show you how to do that. For example, this is a data source, and you can. So we have to inject this view child in our component first of all for the mat paginator, and then So I'm subscribing page with the paginator and going to see how it works. So, so let's see. There's some kind of error, I think. So we should not access the page view child in the constructor because at that time that child element is not loaded in the DOM yet. So we should use another lifecycle hook, something like after view init. So ng after view init. In this lifecycle hook, I'm going to call subscribe this event. So okay, now it is working. Now I'm going to click on next page, and on that event it should alert something. Okay, it is alerting in some an object. Let's see what is inside this object. So you can see that in this object we have some properties: previous page index, and page size and length. So with this information, you can implement any logic and you can change the data. For example, you can uh, change the data source. This dot data source is equal to you can filter out the element data by using this information. So as you can see that page index is 1. So and page length is 10. Page size is 2. So that means we have to calculate some values. For example, on page 1, page index 0, the starting index should be 0, and on page index 1 the starting index should be 2. So because and if on page index 2 the starting index should be uh, 4. So so that means the starting index is always equal to the multiplication of page number and page size. So let's see. Okay, now we have the starting index. So we can filter If index is greater than or equal to the starting index, then we should return true, else return false. So in this way, we will filter out the data. In the initial level, we should show the first two. We can make it short. Okay, now I have to create another variable. Let uh, original data is equal to element data because I want to use its length on the HTML side here. So now I'm going to click on the next page. Uh, if index is greater than else. First, let's see the starting index. Okay, so so we don't want to show more than two because two is our limit. We want to show two items per page. So that is why in this condition, I want to add something like this. So this way I'm limiting the number of data. Okay, you can see that now pagination is working as expected. So this was a simplest method how to make pagination working with the data table. You can change this code and do whatever you want to do with it, and you can implement your own logic if you prefer. So it is very simple and straightforward. So you can always come in and read this documentation, see other example if you want to try other options. Another thing that if we want to implement that is the sort module, sorting module, for example. uh, so this is the table with the sorting. So let's see how to implement sorting in this data table. So, so for to add sorting, you have to add this directive to make it functional. So I'm going to add this directive to every column to make it functional. We also have to import this module, the sorting module. Mat sort module should be imported every time. Okay, I have imported it. Now, so if you want to implement sorting, then you will have to use this object mat data table source. So this time you cannot just directly uh, use the array. You have to pass the array inside in the mat ta table data source class instance. So for that, let's try that. I'm going to, okay, and we have to use this method everywhere. Wherever we assign the data to the data source, we have to use this instance instead. And also, um, we have to uh, acc- we have to access the sorting component, sort module, sort component from the HTML, and then we will link that sorting with this data source to make it working easily. Now, in this, you can do this. This dot data source dot sort is equal to this dot sort. After that, it should start. Okay, in my sort that must be played with the parent element, then we sort that. Sort that. Let's see what we have missed in the HTML. Okay, we must have to add this directive as well in the table, the mat sort directive. So that was missing. All right, let's see. Okay, you can see it is working. The sorting is working perfectly. So I can keep doing a lot of experiment, keep showing you every feature that Datatable has. Datatable has a lot of features. I cannot show everything in this video. So I just wanted to show you the basic demo that how you can easily start using Datatable in your application. So I have shown more than that. So you can continue learning from this documentation as well if you want to. So that's all I wanted to show you. Thank you for watching my video. Hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.